So I don't got Enma yet, but we got Chusui. And I feel like after this chapter, I gotta get Enma. Now, this chapter, put this down. Epic isn't a good word. Amazing isn't a good word. It was fulfilling, even though I wanted more at the end. It felt like a chapter that should have been happened. Okay, like we should have gotten these moments already. However, I'm happy we're here now. One Piece chapter 1033 is out and it is a banger. Certified banger, I'm not lying to you. You know it. If you're ready, you understand what's going on here. Necessary, informational, hype, Zoro. Okay, let's not waste any more time. I'm gonna try to calm down, okay? Because read this chapter on stream, read it several more times, and it's a lot we got to get into, but I'm not sure if we have the time for it. But we gonna get into it, okay? The chapter is called Shimotsuki Kozaburo. When I think of Shimotsuki Kozaburo, I think of the SBS where Oda explained Kozaburo and how he got to Wano and all that different stuff with Zoro's possible lineage, Shimotsuki. I want to explain it again here, but on Sunday when we do the breakdown, I'll get into exactly all that. I'll get into Oda's foreshadowing, where Oda showed us what Kozaburo was gonna look like without showing us, so it's gonna be very interesting. However, right now, I guess we could start off at the top, okay? Because we're not going to cover every single thing, but most things. So let's start off at the top. Enma is draining Zoro. And if you've been in the community, if you've talked about Enma or Zoro in any forum, you understand what the conversation has been. It's been around Zoro, Oden, Enma, Haki, what's exactly going on there. It's been a fustercluck, okay? It's a lot going on. You can pull things and create an agenda out of how many things has transpired from Oden, from Enma, from Zoro versus Kaido. And so it's created somewhat of a toxic environment where when you talk about Zoro, when you talk about Enma, you have people coming out the woodwork from both ends, from both sides. And it's something that you just kind of stay away from. In this chapter, I think we got a lot of clarity in regards to what Enma exactly is doing, what it does, and Zoro's absolute potential. Now, we're not going to talk about Zoro's potential necessarily in this video because then we're going to go off the deep end because, you know, when I talk about Zoro's potential, it goes crazy, okay? But the beginning of the chapter, Zoro's being hindered by Enma, right? Because at this point, it stated that, right? That Zoro would get stronger, much stronger once he mastered Enma. He has not mastered Enma, and he's fighting a right-hand commander. And King is saying, wait, hold on. A swordsman losing to his sword. That's a first. And King likes the damage. The BDSM outfit is not just for show, ladies and gentlemen. He likes taking that. He stood right in front of Zoro, took the attack and said, a direct hit. A little weird, but then he blew up. And so now for Zoro, you gotta be careful how you cut King. If it's not enough damage, he's gonna blow up on you. And for King, he seems unaffected by this. So then it begs the question, what is King? Then Oda answers this question for us. It's something that we speculated, something that we pretty much knew, that King is confirmed to be a Lunarian. So judging from what's going on, it seems like Sanji has the upper hand right now. From the last time we left off, Sanji said that he could dispose of Queen and he wasn't sure what he was becoming. In this chapter, it seems like Sanji has the upper hand and Queen is just talking. We don't know if Queen has gone all out yet. We're still trying to piece things together a little bit. But however, what we do know is that Queen picked up on Sanji, calling out to Zoro. So now he's saying, wait, is he trying to fight King? He has no chance because King is a surviving Lunarian. Now, what are the Lunarians? Well, they are a race that seemingly they can survive in any environment that you throw them into. They're probably amazing at adaptability. But this statement by Queen is telling me a lot. Even without saying it, it's telling me that these Lunarians were wiped out more than likely by the world government because from what we know, they used to live above the red line. Now they were eradicated, but something that stood out to me was when Queen said they could thrive in any environment that you threw them into. Immediately, I thought slavery. They were slaves, and I think King is branded 100%. That's why he wears all the attire, and you know, his body could be burned. He has been through a lot to the point that pain, even being blown up, it does not affect him because I think he was 100% a slave of the Celestial Dragons. Now, I've made a video about this before. I put it in the description box down below about King and what I think about him, his connection to Pangea, the world, all that different stuff. We may follow up on that tomorrow. Talk about some of King and some of more Zoro stuff. It's not a contradictory statement by saying he stands no chance against King, but it does come off a bit weird when you think about, okay, they were eradicated. So are you saying Zoro isn't strong enough to get rid of them? And if he's not strong enough, right? How many people in the world has been stronger than Zoro? Zoro, to the point that they're saying they were eradicated, like completely wiped out. And King is the surviving Lunarian, the last one. When I think about genocide and things like that, I think about the world government. And for the King, the reason why they were eradicated, they must have had ties to the ancient kingdom. So then I think about King and Kaido's relationship. Everything Kaido knows about Joy Boy, all this different stuff, why he chose Wano. Is it because of King? Is King privy to information that most people aren't? Because he's special and he's had probably direct contact with a lot of the celestial dragons, a lot of the people protecting them, a lot of the people trying to change the world. But obviously we're going to find out more, but I thought that tidbit of information was necessary, and Oda did a great job of giving us just enough. He does that all the time, giving us just enough to remain intrigued, but not giving everything away. Oda, give everything away. We need it. Bro, we do. At this point, I think we do. It even said in the distant past they were considered gods. So I think Pangea, all that different stuff, more than likely was occupied by King and people like King, the Lunarians. How do you get overthrown? Well, I think where Pangea is, where the kingdom is, where the celestial dragons are, is the perfect place to rule. And so once we get more into King, not necessarily this arc, but I think once we find out more about the Lunarians, we're going to find out more about the celestial dragons, and we may get some more into the ancient kingdom, the ancient history, because the Lunarians, they're right in the center of it. They are a key piece, because why were they wiped out? Why them specifically? Is it just them living above the red line and the world government or the celestial dragons like, we want that. You guys got to go now. So for the celestial dragons, they said, we're going to come and wipe you out. Then you're going to work for us. If you can survive, you survive. If not, you die. Makes sense to me. But then again, Sanji asks, okay, how can something like that be wiped out? And then Queen's like, well, you're just going to find that out for yourself. So as I expected, there must be a trick to the Lunarians and hurting them. I don't think they get hurt the regular way because Zoro used Lion's Song and King blew himself up and there's still no damage. King's stamina, King's health is tied to something else. Could be the flame, as I've been speculating, but there's no way it's that simple. I think he is pretty damn durable when you think about King and everything he's taken. People were saying he was getting bodied by Marco, and it was just like, well, yeah, I guess, but it's not affecting him. Hasn't affected him. He seems to be fine. Not only blowing himself up, but also taking all that damage. So when you talk about King and strength, you have to respect him because, again, he's going against Zoro with Enma, with some training. He's powerful, bro. He is really powerful, and he's a Lunarian. We got to find out exactly what that means in regards to strength. We know the fire and all that different stuff comes from that, but what else? Does his durability come from the fact that he's a Zoan or the fact that he's a Lunarian? Because it's different. For Kaido, it's interesting because King can take a lot of damage, Jack can take a lot of damage, Queen seems to can take a lot of damage as well. Personally, I don't think he specifically went out to find these individuals because of how, durable they were, but it just happened, to be that way. I think it's interesting though. We also got a load of Zoro information in this chapter in regards to flashback. Last chapter I said for Zoro taking down King, we may see a flashback that we've never seen before where Zoro has the right formula, the right everything needed to take King down. Now, that wasn't necessarily the case, but Zoro did have a flashback we've never seen before in which he's remembering things and how things are coming full circle for him from the old geezer Kuzaburo. It's somewhat documenting Zoro's journey. It had some flashbacks, some things that Zoro had been through, but it's explaining, again, things coming full circle. Zoro knowing things, the snatch, and now we see a full-fledged conversation with Zoro and Kuzaburo. Something that we've always wanted is more backstory on Zoro, not even just being at the village, but before the village. Who is he? Where did he come from? And from the Kuzaburo dialogue, it seems like we have not misinterpreted swords, but we have more clarity on them. The gist of this, because we're gonna get deeper into this tomorrow. Swords are like people. They have personality. They have unique dispositions. And so every sword may be wild, may be tame, but you have to be of a certain level, certain caliber of individual and swordsman to tame these swords and bend them to your will. It's pretty much as I suspected with the swords that you have to get on the same accord. Your temperaments, your goals, the will of the sword, it has to align with yours. Now, I always felt it would have to be of the sword's doing. The sword would have to adhere to you in a way that wasn't necessarily force or dominance. However, Kuzaburo is clarifying it, saying, no, you have to bend the sword to your will, because we have to go back to what Yukimaru said, where Zoro did not know enough in regards to blades. Are you that selfish that you just think of your own desires? So I think there's definitely more. Yes, bending the sword to your will, but what about the sword's will? Are you fulfilling that? Is that the way to unlock a black blade? As we suspected, Kuzaburo's magnum opus is Enma. And Enma is, he describes it as a temperament that is unlike any other. And if you grab it, it feels like you're going to faint. It gave people chills to the point that he named the sword the Lord of the Underworld, Enma. There was a lot of things floating around the internet in regards to Zoro and his connection to the underworld, even some of his attacks, his disposition, the way he carries himself, how he is connected. Maybe we'll touch on that a bit as well. But what I like in this chapter is Zoro saying the Shimotsuki village, it doesn't seem like a coincidence now, right? He's piecing things together, and I hope he does that as well for his own story, his own lineage, because now he's starting to think about things. Wait, how does a sword from Wano end up in East Blue? Basically for Enma, it's not controlling Zoro, it's not Oden's haki, it's a training mechanism. It's a way for Zoro to regulate his haki better. And like I've said this before, right? Zoro is a vessel, and typically he has a certain amount of haki that he regulates on a daily basis or when he fights, and his body is comfortable using that. For Enma, it's pulling out a lot more. What Zoro is doing before is basically regulating it to the point that, okay, I don't want to die, so I can't use as much haki as I would like to, as a sword is trying to force me to do. The sword is training you to maintain this constant output. Zoro as well used Conqueror's haki this chapter. We're gonna get deeper into this sword and how it works for sure, but this sword is regulating your haki, pulling more out of you, maintaining and increasing the vessel, because like anything, right? Like for people, you don't have a lot of stamina. So then you run more and you're burning stamina, but then you're building stamina. The way you get more is by training. For Enma, it's a training mechanism to expedite that process. So you're running with a tool that's draining your stamina more, but you're still running. So then you're building even more stamina with this training mechanism, which initially is definitely a detriment. And when you use it, right? When you wield it, for Enma, he used it in spurts where he was comfortable exerting that much, but he could never use it full go because he was scared. Now he's like, forget it. I'm going all out. This is how it's meant to be. Love the Luffy reference. Love the fact that he's using Conqueror's haki coding now. Zoro is a special individual, and this chapter confirmed it if you didn't believe it before. Kaido basically said that few of the very strongest can do this. A few of the very strongest. He's built different. This is scary because what's gonna come next, I don't even think King is prepared for. I don't care how much of a Lunarian he is. Could be a moon man. Like, you're going to get bodied by Zoro at this point. He is now using Enma at full go. Now, is there a limit? Because now it's a full output of haki. It's not being regulated. This is the way the sword is meant to be used. Now, something that I gotta say, I owe Oden an apology, I think. I've been downplaying Oden a bit recently, and I apologize because what Zoro is doing is letting us know that Oden was always outputting 100% of his haki. That's what Enma is trained to do. That's what Enma is built to do. That's the type of sword Enma is. That's its personality. That's its temperament. All or nothing, which fits Zoro pretty well, might I add. Great chapter. Great chapter. I loved it. Guys, give me your thoughts. How do you feel about it? Again, we're going to get deeper into how Enma works, how Enma regulates all this different sword stuff tomorrow. I can't wait to talk about it. But give me your thoughts. Make sure to like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BrogWithTheAce. Follow me on Instagram at BrogWithThe.ace. Thanks to my patrons. I appreciate you guys all so much. Again, guys, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
I start doubting me, I felt lost. I rewrite it.